Now, put your hands together for Jamie Andrews, our last speaker.
Thanks very much. So yeah, basically I was going to come up and say, we pay for all the booze, so you have to buy all your train tickets on our website. I am still saying that, just well, I'm also going to say some other things. So basically, for those of you who don't know, Loco 2 has been around for a few years. We sort of properly launched in April last year, but we did a load of software development before that. We got about £750,000 of investment to date, and I thought it might be interesting for some of you in the room to hear about the slightly later stage of a startup after you've gone through, you successfully won all the amazing competitions that people are talking about. Not that we ever won a competition, instead, but yeah, basically we've experienced and we continue to experience various challenges around funding the next stage of development for our company, and I thought sharing that might be of interest to some people. Call to Talk is a Cleanweb startup, a social enterprise, and the reasons for that will become apparent during the talk itself. So first of all, the raison d'etre of Loco 2 is to help people take the train instead of fly for sort of short to medium to perhaps even long haul journeys for those brave enough to be on the train for over 24 hours. And the whole reason behind the company is to save carbon. And we didn't sort of think here's a fantastic, lucrative opportunity for us to get involved in. We thought, how do we encourage people to take the train, and how do we actually facilitate that? And secondary to that, we thought we'd better make some money in order to pay for all of the massive amount of software engineering that we need to do in order to make that a reality. And basically, we got to where we are today, and as I said, we've raised a fairly significant amount of angel investment to get the product to where it is. We're now looking for more money. Depending on what strategy we end up going for, we may want to be raising kind of around £1 million in the next round of investment to really support the further integrations we intend to do with the rail operator booking systems in order to actually market the product so we can break through into the mass market and do various other things that tech startups need money for. And one of the big challenges that we face is that we're falling between various different definitions of what kind of company we are. So what we're not is a clean tech startup. So clean tech generally means something that is involved in the energy infrastructure. So it's, obviously renewable energy generation technologies like photovoltaic cells, which is obviously what this picture is of, or wind turbines, wind farms, anything that is involved in the physical energy infrastructure in the national grid can be considered broadly, and is clean, can be considered broadly clean tech. And there are various venture capital firms out there that are funding clean tech ventures. But because we're not anything to do with the energy infrastructure, we're not considered clean tech, so they won't consider investing in us. And this is frustrating because just like clean tech, we want to be saving carbon, and so there aren't really any kind of venture capital investors that are out there specifically to fund ventures that are interested in saving carbon but are outside of the energy infrastructure. And so that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to say. Just to talk a little bit more about Loco 2's business model, we're a low margin, high volume business. So we need to sell shitloads of tickets to make any money whatsoever, basically. We get about an average of 3.5% on every transaction that goes through Loco 2. So we need to be selling tens of thousands of tickets every month in order to pay the ludicrously high salaries that software engineers like yourselves presumably. So as I mentioned earlier, the carbon saving came first, and the financial bit comes second. So as a low margin, high volume business, we go and talk to venture capitalists, and I had a discussion with one about 10 days ago, and it was a highly unsuccessful meeting, and he ended it saying, even a turkey can fly when there's a strong wind. basically saying Loco 2's business model relies upon loads of people buying train tickets, and you make such a small margin on those train tickets that we've got too many other opportunities to look at, for example in the property sector, which is obviously booming because the Conservatives have decided to subsidise people buying their first homes, etc. Point being that his advice to me was pick something that just makes loads of money and try and build a startup out of that, which was highly depressing to hear from somebody who's trying to facilitate a low carbon economy through the use of technology. So that's basically the attitude that you're going to be facing in any conventional venture capitalist. They're just like, why are you doing that? Basically, you just need to make as much money as possible. That could be the only thing that motivates you. So, because we fall outside of the definition of clean tech, and conventional kind of .com style venture capitalists only want to look at things that have potential to make loads and loads of money, and that being the only thing that they even care about, we're kind of stuck between the definitions of what investors are looking at. But there are these various organisations, which we've obviously heard from Ed and Esther today, and is there anybody from Bethnal Green Ventures in the room? There's people who've been funded by Bethnal Green Ventures sort of when they're over here. So there are people out there who are trying to help businesses that are looking at social and environmental things, which is fantastic. And I put the four that I could think of off the top of my head when I was writing this presentation earlier. There's probably some others as well. But basically, these companies, these organisations define social businesses in a way that is not really very compelling for me. First of all, they put social and environmental in the same category, and so when we apply for funding from these organisations, we're kind of asked what's the social goal that Loco 2 is trying to address, and I sort of say, well, no, it's an environmental goal, and yes, if we avoid catastrophic climate change, we'll still have some societies, so that's a social goal. But beyond that, I can't really be bothered to try and crowbar in a social definition of what we're trying to do. And unfortunately, we've come across this barrier numerous times, and we're trying to go for funding that acknowledges the fact that we're not just trying to make loads and loads of money, we've got this carbon saving intent as well. And numerous times we come across this same barrier, which is that we're not clearly defining our social value enough. I think that's a problem. I think that there needs to be a definition of carbon saving outside of the energy sector, which more clearly kind of speaks to the kinds of ventures. Obviously, my venture, I want that kind of funding for obvious reasons, but I think more generally speaking, the energy sector is one part of carbon saving, and that there needs to be this broader definition. And that was the main point that I was trying to make with this little talk. But the final point, which is even bigger, is buy all your train tickets on loco2.com. If you want to, I would love it if you did. We have a new URL which nobody else knows about until now, which is loco2.com/friends, and that makes just two really basic points, but ones that may be missed on you if you have already used Loco2, or even if you haven't, you won't know this at all. And that's that you can buy all your UK train tickets on Loco2 with the same price as the train line, but we don't charge a booking fee, so we're actually a little bit cheaper. And you can also buy all your Eurostar tickets on Loco2, even if you're not going beyond Paris or Brussels, for exactly the same price as Eurostar.com. And we would really love it if you did that, and obviously told all of your friends, and you can use that URL to do so. Thank you very much.